Thanks. So I'm Carla Holland-Scholer, and I've been a teacher and worked with my dreams for more than 40 years. So I'm going to start. I was thinking about what the creative process is for me, and I think it starts with my influences, mentors, and I think none of us created a vacuum. We have. I used to say that we created the bones of our ancestors. So I'm going to start with a current influence, which is Ruth Ozeki. She's a favorite author right now. I've read 3 of her books, and there's a new one coming out. I can't wait. The book I was really impressed with was the book of Form and Emptiness, and it's about a 14-year-old boy who begins to hear voices emanating from things in the house around him. And at first it's pretty soft, but then it starts to get out of hand and becomes a problem. And he ends up having to go to therapy so they can try to get rid of the voices. At one point he goes to Japan because his father was Japanese. And so he had relatives he'd never met. And in Japan, when the relatives find out that he hears voices, they said, "Oh, what a gift. That's wonderful." And I heard an interview with Ruth Ozeki, and one of the things she said was that normal or normalcy is a social construct. And what one culture considers abnormal, another culture may consider a gift. So he eventually works through those issues. But I think that I lived in Japan for 10 years, and the culture, I kind of got it through osmosis. But Shinto religion is the indigenous religion in Japan. It's kind of blended with Buddhism. And in Shinto religion, it's believed that objects and places can actually hold spirit, and you can invite a spirit to come and live within an object. And I think as artists, that's what we want. We want our work to speak to the viewer. We want them to have a dialogue when they come to the work. So we are always inviting kami spirits to live within our work. So the process I use with my dreams is I usually start with my sketchbooks, my dream journal, and I try to find an image that resonates with me. So I really start with the images rather than the story so much. And I don't care when the story or the dream happened. It could have been 20 years ago. But the image has to currently draw me in. So once I pick an image, I've been losing my voice, so I'm going to grab my water so I can keep talking. So I think the jet lag has got to me. So once I find the image, I begin to do research, and it will take me in many different directions. So I think of the artwork as a kind of artifact. It's the tip of the iceberg, and the real fun for me is all the different places that image takes me, historically or maybe to folklore. And I also look at what's going on in my personal life in the world around me. I also use the Oracle, which I call Google search. So I like to throw in crazy searches, and they kind of become random found objects that become part of the piece. So, maybe a shoelace was in one of my images, and I might say, what is the meaning of a shoelace? And it's surprising, but you get some really interesting answers sometimes. Although Google has been changing what we're sponsored as, but you can get around them still. So painting and sculpture for me are the the artifacts of that. This was to finish this piece in January 1st, 2024. And it started with some images as I was waiting. There were all these animals, little ducks swimming in a pond with 4 eyes. You know, every creature had 4 eyes. There was a squirrel, it wasn't frightening or anything, it was just kind of strange. And then there was also a fragment, a dream fragment, where there were hares, rabbits with the really long ears, tall ears, and they were sitting around a round table and they were discussing how to save the earth. So there was also a voice, a really clear voice, as I woke up that said alligator lizard. So I kind of took that alligator lizard, you know, I think we're moving out of the year of the rabbit into the year of the water dragon. So in Japan, so maybe the alligator lizard is kind of representing the water dragon, and having finished this on New Year's. So the synchronicity also, I was substitute teaching in a high school's chemistry class, and there was a student teacher there. He was doing a great job and really didn't need me except to be there as the credentialed teacher. So there was some scratch paper that they had on a desk, so I grabbed some scratch paper and I noticed as I looked through the scratch paper there were these rectangles. I thought, oh, this is perfect. I can do little thumbnail sketches in each one of these little rectangles. So I did a thumbnail sketch of this piece, and when I was working on the piece, I finally turned the page over, and there were elements. So it was chemistry class, so there were all elements, and the sketch that I did was in neon, the element neon, and that means new, of course. So it fit in again. It was a kind of synchronicity with the new year. The origami came from, I was also reading a book, We've Always Been Here, by Lena Nguyen, I think it is. And in that book, it's a planet where time folds in on itself and unfolds. So at one point, you could be seeing yourself in the future doing something over here, and then it folds again, and then you're back in the present, or you're in the past. So the time is really fluid. And also in Japan, origami is a kind of meditation. So if I translate the title, it's like a new way to meditate, or a new meditation, a new year. Okay, did I skip through? Yes. Okay, at least I only went through one. So there's a lot more imagery here, but that's pretty much the hairs. I think of them, the 3 hairs at the table, those are universal. You find them many places, many different meanings. For me, I like the 3 graces. So I feel that women are probably going to play a big role in the transformation of this planet in the future. So what's there to lose? This is kind of way the images, somebody told me that they come out a little blurry and the color is terrible. Sorry about that. Anyway, you can see the real piece out there, so it has a lot more color. But anyway, this piece was, I was trying to lose weight, so a lifetime habit of trying to lose weight. And I've lost about 17 pounds. But every time I try to lose weight, I dream of bears. And so I had this bear dream early on that the bear had broken into the house and was in the kitchen ripping off the cabinet doors to get food. So then the other dream I had was I was wrestling with the bear, and he was winning. He was a big bear. And we were rolling on the ground and, you know, everything. And then I said, oh, wait a minute, I know jujitsu. So I flipped the bear on his back and he gave up.
Then he was.
So I won. I lost 17 pounds. So I jumped. I did my health branch. I'm gonna stay here. But I had to put the bear in this image in the Watson. So I'm trying to calm him down so he doesn't go on a food rampage. And then and the bear, I think, is getting so calm, he's having an out-of-body experience. He's kind of looking up into Ursa Major, the Big Dipper and the bear. And then on the bottom right-hand corner, I couldn't think of anything to put there, but I felt like it needed something. So I asked my dreaming self, what should I put there? And when I was, oh, gosh darn it, I'm really good at this. I asked my dreaming self what I should put there, and the face of me appeared as I was waking up, and she was kind of pissed off and amused at the same time that I called her, I guess. But she, you know, at first I thought, what does that have to do with anything? But the more I thought about it, well, yeah, you need calling energy to lose something, to get rid of something. You have to have a little calling energy. So that's kind of me there, and I'm holding the mask. So that's these. This is called green tea. And again, I had this experience of waking up with this clear voice that said ovarian cyst. And I thought, well, that's weird. So I didn't think much more about it, but then about a week later, I had another voice that said green tea. I thought, this first, it sounds like a diagnosis prescription. So I said, I'm gonna make an appointment with the doctor. So I went to the doctor and they did some imaging, and I didn't have an ovarian cyst, but I did hear that sometimes dream diagnosis, the illness or whatever doesn't happen for a year or sometimes 2 years out. But I did have fibrous tumors, 2 of them, which will have to be surgically removed if they don't decrease in size or disappear. And so then I thought, well, I got a prescription, so I'm gonna see. And I looked up, and there was a lot of research, numerous ones, that green tea had an effect of reducing fibroid tumors and also ovarian cysts. So I started taking the 500 milligrams of green tea extract, but then I went to the plant allies, and I found a better way to do it, but often that isn't the best way because the plant is too far removed from its, you know, it's dried and it's processed and it's done all these things. So I'm going to start steeping green tea, and I'll keep doing that, and in a few months I get another imaging and we'll see what happens. Oh, in the water is Amami. She's a Japanese kind of spirit that appears when healing is needed in Japan. It's my version of Amami. She looks different in Japan. Well, actually, there are many different images of her that look different even in Japan. So I did my own version. She reappeared actually when COVID happened. Her image had been sort of underground for many years, and when COVID happened, that image began to reappear in Japan. So this is blue bamboo orb spider, and water again. So this is an interesting one for me because I had had spider dreams. They were actually very, the spiders were kind of humorous, and they were huge, so they were like 4 feet high, long long legs, and I was rolling a table around. I was afraid I was going to hurt them, you know, so I was trying to, because they were jumping all around. In my waking life, I went to walk out the door, and there was a spider web from the doorway all the way about 8 feet across. That huge, the biggest spider web I've ever seen in my life, all the way over to the shed, and I couldn't get out the door without removing it. Moved the corner, and it kind of fell away like a curtain, and I was able to leave and get in my car. The next morning, the spider web was back, and again, to get out the door, I had to kind of remove that corner, and again, it fell away. That evening, when I came home, there was no spider web, but the spider was at my door by the doorbell.
Maybe you take your revenge.
So I'm sort of afraid. Spiders in Japan are big, you know, they're very different. I call those country bugs. But anyway, I gingerly, you know, I got a good look at it because I had to walk past it to get in the door. And it was beautiful, actually. And it's on the table there. And it's horrid. I have learned my lesson to not do that. But the spider has gold and turquoise stripes on its abdomen. Really lovely spider. And they're called Joro spiders, and there's a lot of story and mythology in Korea, Japan. They love these spiders, and the spider can turn into a woman. So that's the AKA Spider Woman was the first title for this piece. So let's see what else. So I did a radiated composition, also at about the same time. In Kamakura, there's a bamboo forest that everybody loves, especially in the summer when it's hot. You can go there and it's so cool. These canes are 20, 30 feet high, and they have a green tea little area where you can get green tea and sit and listen to. It's very cooling. Well, hurricane or typhoon came through, and it looked like pickup sticks. It just knocked down all the canes, and it was devastating. And so most of us who love the garden were just, you know, really upset. But within a very short time, the gardeners who take care of the bamboo forest, they went through and they, this is, by the way, this is the bamboo forest, and you can get the green tea there. It's lovely. And you sit and look at the forest. Yeah, sorry. So if you can see that, yeah, you can see the black. What they did was weave black ropes throughout and lifted all the canes. And now the ropes are gone, and it's totally the way it was. So they were able, and I thought that's biomimicry. Yes, you know, there's my spot. So sometimes the dreams are wonderful because it makes you look at the world and through the dream and sort of enchanted, you know, brings life to a unpaid world. This piece was called Search for Luminosity. It was a clear voice when I woke up, and the word was luminosity. I didn't know what it meant at that point, not consciously, so I looked it up and I found it wonderful, especially for being in Japan, about the sacred and divine. In Japan, of course, they believe that things can be sacred, and they often designate a sacred tree with a rope and those little lightning figures. So in this case, she's kind of a Parsifal character, and she's looking for sacred space, for sacred objects. So that's me in the waking world looking for what I consider sacred. She's wearing a bee's mask because I think of bees as being sacred. They are important for our survival. And It's a medieval bees mask, came from a old ancient painting from medieval times. I forget who the artist is right now. This is on the bottom right there, are medicines from medieval time. I thought it was wonderful that we're coming to a medieval abbey, because I do have dreams sometimes that go back there. And that's pretty much wraps it up. So, thank you.
Actually